I think one of the big reasons why people take the risks that they do is just to, stay ahead of the collapsing dollar. You got the video, you can see this one here. This is a 50. So this guy here is a 20th of an ounce of gold. No, it's the fact that if you split an ounce of gold into 1,000 pieces that are serialized and have never been counterfeited, that adds value.
All right, welcome back, everyone, to the RLT PIVOT Podcast. My name is Tracy, and once again, I'm joined with my amazing co-host, Mr. Dan Janson. How are you, sir?
Doing absolutely terrific. Good to be back. And we do have a guest specializing in gold and goldbacks. We got Jeremy Cordon with us. Jeremy, how are you?
I'm doing great. I'm happy to be here.
Awesome, man. So tell us a little bit about yourself and kind of, I know you deal a lot with gold and goldbacks, but kind of tell us where you got started and what was your influence into everything.
I think a lot of people are worried about inflation right now. The value of the dollar is going down pretty quick. And I think one of the big reasons why people take the risks that they do is just to, stay ahead of the collapsing dollar. We've really seen that the last year with 10% inflation. This has been something that's always fascinated me. I've been kind of obsessed with this issue where our currency is designed to lose value. And my goal has been to make a form of money that doesn't lose value.
So gold is a storage of wealth, right? And it should keep up with inflation, ideally. How has gold changed since the dollar's come off the gold standard? Is it, in your opinion, does that affect gold at all? Does it make it gold more valuable, less valuable?
Well, it depends what you're measuring it with. If you measure something with $1, everything's become more valuable. Or the other inverse way to look at that is the dollar's become less valuable, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, imagine that if we measured everything with a yardstick, all right? And at the end of every year, we shaved off a piece of our yardstick, all right, and said, my goodness, when you measure everything with the yard, everything is getting bigger, right?
Yep.
I mean, because if you measure things in dollars and dollars are losing value, then the value of everything goes up. It's just a bad yardstick. So, I mean, I think the people that advocate for gold say, hey, this is a better yardstick. But what I'd say about gold coins and bars is that they're a terrible form of money. I mean, sure. I mean, they keep their value, but you can't spend them. I mean, you could sell them and, get cash back and lose on a spread, but it's not, coins and bars haven't been money for, a long time, just because, they hold too much value.
What exactly is a goldback then?
Okay. So you got the video, you can see this one here. This is a 50. So this guy here is a 20th of an ounce of gold. This guy right here is 1,000th. So what it is, imagine you marry a gold coin in cash and you basically get a gold back. So this is 1,000th of an ounce of gold. It's encased in polymer and it's never been counterfeited. The 50 contains 50 times the amount of gold. And there's, in between denominations as well here. And basically it's a cash-like form of gold that people can use as money.
Interesting. So where can you actually use them? Like who's actually dealing in this type of currency?
We were hoping that we could get 5 to 10% of small business owners accepting gold as payment. And we found really quickly that it's closer to half of small business owners are willing to take precious metals as payment. So people are spending these locally. They're bartering with them, with small businesses. In Utah, we actually spent some time building up a network. It's 8 times more popular than Bitcoin in Utah.
Wow.
I know gold, like if you go in gold bricks, gold bars, things like that, typically, like Tracy said, kind of heavy. I understand you've been working out, you hit in the gym, you seem to lift those things up pretty lightly. So how are they? And they seem a little like paperish, right? So
well, it's like it is a lot like a bill, right? It fits in your wallet, it behaves like a bill, it's in the shape of a bill. And this is worth $4. This is something that you could buy your coffee with. And gold's never been able to do that. In 2,600 years, we've never gotten gold small enough where you could actually use it for things ever, and I think that's a big part of, the state of our money right now is, we've never gotten something this convenient and this nice. Yeah, as far as gold bars, though, it's not so much that gold bars are heavy. It's one, they could be fake. Our market's getting flooded with the Chinese counterfeits right now. And two, it's too valuable. Who are you going to trade a $2,000 gold bar with, even if they thought it was authentic? It's ridiculous.
And where do you go to get a Goldback? Is it every bank carrying them, or you have to go somewhere specifically for Goldbacks?
Sure. Well, metals dealers carry them, so a lot of the big metals dealers, bullion dealers, they sell Goldbacks. We're a wholesaler. I don't sell Goldbacks directly to end users. If you go to goldback.com, you can see a list of dealers that sell Goldbacks. But if you're familiar with precious metals at all, you'll notice you'll recognize these businesses. But like Walmart sells Goldbacks.
Really?
You go to walmart.com. So it's gotten really big in terms of volume. We've sold over $60 million worth of Goldbacks in just the last few years. By the numbers, it's the most successful local currency in American history.
Wow.
So yeah, we're really proud of that.
Now, is it restrictive to the United States?
No, I mean, like it's valuable because it's gold. So people barter with these things all over the world.
Okay, well, I ask you because I live in Canada, so I've never heard of it. So that's why I'm asking.
Yeah, I mean, you could use it. Like I said, it's a very barterable form of gold. So people can trade with it.
Okay. What stipulates the price? Like you said that particular bill was worth $4. So who determines that, and how does it stay regulated?
So the market determines the price.
Okay.
It really couldn't be anything else, right? I can't dictate the price, unless I had it.
So the market in Goldbacks or the market in gold in general?
The market in Goldbacks. Goldbacks are its own market.
Okay.
So here's the thing. So $100 bill, all right? And you might not understand this because you're Canadian, but I'm sure they have hundreds in Canada, right?
They do. Yeah.
They're not worth as much as here.
No, they aren't. They're only worth about $50.
But $100 bill, right? Why does this have value? I mean, you accept it as payment, for anything you do. So why?
It says $100 on there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the reason why I take it is because I know that I can pass it off to somebody else and get value out of it.
Yeah.
That's it. I mean, there's no gold in this thing. There's no gold that backs this up somewhere. It's just utility value. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the whole reason the $100 bill is valuable anywhere. Is people believe they can take one of these things and spend it and get something else.
Yeah.
Now, for a Goldback, if I were to melt down this guy right here, so these are worth about the same, a 25 Goldback, a $100 bill. If I were to melt this down, I'd destroy half the value and only get $50 worth of gold out of it. So what's the other 50? Well, it's utility value. It's knowing that you can spend this and get its value, the same thing as this guy.
Okay.
Right. But here's the thing. When the confidence in the $100 bill goes down, all that demand has to go somewhere. And sometimes it goes into stocks. People are, fleeing for safety. Sometimes it goes into bonds. But when the real utility of the actual money itself goes down and people are scared that they don't have the money that's going to work, we saw this during the first few weeks of COVID. Did you guys remember being in the grocery store and everyone was just kind of scared? Like they're buying stuff, like maybe they won't be able to get it later.
Yep.
You guys remember this? Stressful, right?
AKA
It was kind of like
toilet
this.
paper. Really?
Yeah.
People just
we all went for the toilet paper. It's
That
like,
was it.
we can be out of beans. We're not going to be out of toilet paper. That'd be horrible, right? So we're all running, we're all getting this stuff, and there's kind of this stress in the air as everyone's, shopping. And, people were worried about running out of toilet paper. People were worried about their money not working later. That was a real fear. And what we saw with Goldbacks, these guys, in that 2 weeks, is that every single Goldback sold out. They all disappeared off all the retailers. We ran out of Goldbacks, and we'd only been out for 9 months at that point. This was a new product. This was an unknown product. we ran out. The only Goldbacks that were available anywhere were on eBay. Do you care to guess what they costed?
Probably 4 times as much.
$50 a piece. They were more than 20 times the regular value. And I think it's just because people were scared, and they were selling at that, by the way. People were scared that they wouldn't have a money that worked. So all that utility demand that's normally in cash, part of it, a tiny fraction of it, hit the Goldback market and blew Goldbacks up. When people buy Goldbacks, a lot of the people with the more trading mentality, they're looking at these as a bet against cash. In a cashless society, something like this becomes insanely popular. Or a society that's cashless because the cash doesn't have value anymore. These become insanely valuable by comparison. And that's an independent market from gold. Goldbacks have far outperformed gold coins and gold bullion just because of their limited nature.
Okay, so that's what I was going to ask, is what makes it different from a dollar then? Because like, what actually backs it? You just said that if you were to melt it down, you'd actually only get about half the value in actual gold.
Sure.
So it's the limited nature, kind of like Bitcoin, that makes the value stay up?
No, it's the fact that if you split an ounce of gold into 1,000 pieces that are serialized and have never been counterfeited, that adds value. Okay. What's more valuable, a 1 ounce gold bar or 1,000 individual units that can be spent? There's more value there.
Yeah, I can see the utility for that. Yeah,
right,
for sure.
So the utility value is the value, right? Okay. Or it's half the value.
Okay.
Whereas the $100 bill, the whole thing is utility value. And what I'm saying for Goldbacks is what we've seen so far is, gold has appreciated. The gold value of Goldbacks has gone up. The utility value part is more interesting because Goldbacks absorb more demand from a drop in the utility value of this guy than any other form of gold, because no other form of gold has these cash-like properties.
Gotcha. Now,
it's only 0.3% of the market. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, okay. How long has the Goldback been around?
About 4 years.
About 4 years. Okay. And it's been consistently growing, or?
Yeah. So I gave you some numbers. At the end of 2022, there were $50 million worth of Goldbacks in existence. Last month, we sold $6 million worth. The month before that, we sold another $6 million worth. And we were only limited by how much we could produce. So we're seeing this kind of hockey stick growth in terms of demand.
So let me ask you this. Obviously, and everything is limited. So with that $100 bill you have, there's people that, as much counterfeit effort as possible that you can put into a bill, there's probably somebody out there that could do it, right? With the Goldbacks, you said that China's starting to produce a lot of the fake gold bars, things like that. What's number one to stop counterfeit Goldbacks? Number one, and two, or 3-part question. 2, how do you know that you are getting an authentic Goldback dollar? And then what security measures are in it to make sure that is legit? So when you pass it on to somebody at a 7-Eleven, when you're buying that cup of coffee, they receive it, they understand that this is a real currency, not something counterfeited.
Sure. So two parts of that. First part, as far as the $100 bill being counterfeited, even if nobody was counterfeiting the $100 bill, they make so many of these things that they lose their value the same way they would with a counterfeit anyway. So whether they're being counterfeited or not is moot, as far as I'm concerned, for the $100 bill. Last year, you lost 10% of your value with this guy. Who knows how much value you're going to lose in the future, especially as, dollar hegemony is challenged, right? As far as the Goldback goes, you asked about counterfeiting features or anti-counterfeiting features on the Goldback. And I mentioned that we have a lot of fake gold coins and gold bars coming out of China, or North Korea, or, wherever people fake things, right? If you look at a fake gold bar, you could craft one of those for $50. You could do it with about $30,000 worth of equipment. And if you're successful in passing it off, you made $2,000. That's the economics of a gold bar. Now, for a Goldback, so that technology, and it's been out for a couple hundred years. So for a Goldback, this is vacuum deposition. This is the same level of technology that puts gold in microchips in your computer and your cell phone. So, you know, having a machine that can do vacuum deposition is not cheap, right? You're looking at about $5 to $10 million just to get started making something like a Goldback. And then it took about, 10 years to figure out how to get a Goldback to this point. So, $5 million, 10 years. Now, if you get to that point, there's 6 different anti-counterfeiting features on a Goldback. So the whole front is covered in security features. The back is a perfect negative image of the front, including the serial number that you can read through the Goldback. It's such a complicated process that even if somebody did have vacuum deposition, they're going to run into the same problems they have with a $100 bill in terms of being able to counterfeit or replicate things. And we have more anti-counterfeiting features coming around the corner where you can scan these things with your phone and authenticate in that way. So in terms of, I don't know if any other currency has been able to claim that there's never been a counterfeit. We're really proud of that right now. If you were in the mindset to counterfeit, you've got cheaper options.
Makes sense. Now, do you guys use a specific grade of gold for the Goldback?
Yeah, it's all 24 karat.
24 karat. Okay. Now, one of the things that I'm curious about is if there's a limited supply, at some point we will end up mining the majority of our gold and we will run out of gold. So at that point, the value of something like this would shoot through the roof because there's no more that could be made, no more that could be supplied. Is there a future for, say, the Silverback or the Nickelback or anything like that with some other precious metals?
So this right here is a Silverback.
This is Silverback. There you go.
You can see it. Now we did this as a collectible. I mean, 1,000th of an ounce of silver. That's like 2.5 cents worth of melt value.
Okay.
Now, is it possible that silver could be so valuable someday that this is a currency? Sure. We'll find out. As far as gold mining goes, it's kind of one of those things where there's always another source of gold. It's just slightly harder than the last source. Whether they're gold mining the ocean floors or in Antarctica, or they're going deeper, or they're mining asteroids for gold. I don't think gold mining is going to go away, but what's nice about gold mining is you're never adding more than 1 or 2% to the total gold supply in the world in any given year, which makes gold deflationary. So there is a finite supply of gold out there, and that's going to limit. That's going to put a natural limit on how many Goldbacks can be made.
All right. Now, stepping into climate for a bit, what is kind of the eco mark of making a Goldback? Like, what's the environmental impact?
You got 2 layers of polymer, and it is made through vacuum deposition, which takes a lot of electricity. But the area that these are made in, all of that's hydroelectric power.
Okay.
Which is really clean. So I'd say, probably negligible. I mean, these aren't ending up in landfills, nobody's throwing their Goldback away. If you have a polymer that's going to last for 5,000 years, this is the kind of thing you want to use it for, not, a spoon you're going to use once and throw away. So I think we'd probably have a good score as far as that went.
I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Pirates of the Caribbean.
Oh, I totally have. Yeah, it's a great movie.
Great movie. I like the first one better than any of them, but that's okay.
Yeah, first one's the best.
Usually the case. There's a part in there where she goes to the Captain Jack Sparrow. She's like, "You're the worst pirate I've ever heard of," and he's like, so at least you've heard of me, right?
But you've heard of me.
I feel like gold is kind of that benchmark. So I want to get into the crypto versus gold aspect of things, because if there's some huge crypto traders and believers in it, and this is the future, and everybody in that world at least will go, the best storage of wealth is going to be Bitcoin. It's going to outpace gold, all of this stuff. Okay. And I feel like it's that Pirates of the Caribbean moment where it's like, well, at least you heard of gold. Like you're still benchmarking it off of gold, right? So there's a plus. But how do you see Bitcoin kind of faring with gold in the future? Do you in terms of either just storage of wealth? Is that possible where Bitcoin will outpace it, outgrow it? And then in that case, should we be focusing more money into crypto than to gold?
Okay. So remember this $100 bill? Why does it have value again?
It's not backed by anything.
It's not backed by anything, but either is Bitcoin, right? I mean, like you could argue that. So I'd say that, what backs both of them is market demand and utility. That's it. Right? It's like, you can't have the emperor has no clothes moment with Bitcoin without having the same thing for the dollar, which everybody uses. Right? It's like it's money because enough people decided that it was, so you can trade it. And Bitcoin's fun to trade because it's volatile. I've made a ton of money off trading Bitcoin. Yep. Don't tell the IRS, but
they'll never know.
But it's been fun, and I don't have a lot of negative things to say about crypto, but I will say that they're very different. With the crypto, it's a bit more speculative, generally speaking. I know there's some stable coins out there that are pegged to the dollar of all things, which is, an inflationary currency. And then you also have, gold pegged cryptos. And I used to have a gold pegged crypto company. What I was told by my potential users was that, hey, it's not that we don't trust you. We don't trust the government. We don't trust that if your gold crypto doesn't become successful, that they won't roll into the tank and steal all the gold and make the crypto worthless. It's there's a generation of people that aren't really adopting crypto. They don't like the 40-digit password. They don't like the 40-digit wallet ID number. The learning curve is a little too steep. And, maybe they don't understand the value prospect, or, the volatile nature of crypto drives them away. Bitcoin's lost 80% of its value 6 or 7 times, and that's, for all of gold's faults, it hasn't done that. Mm-hmm. Now, that said, people investing in Bitcoin 10 years ago did a lot better than people that invested in gold 10 years ago. So it's a nuanced thing. As far as Goldbacks themselves go, I can't easily transfer this to somebody that isn't near me. All right. If I wanted to, pay somebody with a Goldback that was far away, I'd have to find a third-party service that vaulted Goldbacks and could do that for me. But in terms of a cash-like tool, I could pay somebody one of these and be done in seconds. Whereas, pulling out my phone and figuring out how to pay them in Bitcoin it's more steps. There's a bigger learning curve. It's a little harder, So I think there's a niche for both, and I think both are often considered alternatives to using cash as payment for things.
Yeah. So just a little pushback, because I don't want to confuse crypto in general with just Bitcoin, where you have Ethereum, you have a lot of crypto coins, and Elon Musk pumps something or whatever.
There's tens of thousands of cryptos. Sure.
Right. So if we just focus just on Bitcoin, because that's going to be the argument that every crypto head is going to make, right?
Sure.
Bitcoin there's never going to be any more minted Bitcoin. It is what it is. It's finite. Mm-hmm. And the more demand, it will go up. Right. And gold, same thing. I mean, you can mine gold, and there's going to be to a certain extent, a limited amount of that too. Right. So that's going to be the comparison that a lot of people are going to make. And they're going to say there's a lot less Bitcoin. Again, like you said, easier to transfer, all this stuff. Mm-hmm. So my question would be, why would I go with gold? Why would I go with Goldback as opposed to no other crypto except for just Bitcoin, if we're going to compare storage of wealth? What is the argument for the crypto heads?
For gold?
Yeah, for gold.
So if you're not a trader, if you're looking at, utility, if your goal is to have a money that you can use no matter what, Goldback is something that you can hold in your hand, you can hold in your wallet. Yeah, I own $30,000 worth of Tezos in a wallet that I don't have the password to. I had the password to it. I don't know where it's at. It's like losing 30 grand in your couch. Your couch just eats it forever. And I'm like, okay, I think a lot of people get security of being able to hold something in their hands and being able to trade something tangible. And that just makes the Goldback a bit different than Bitcoin. That said, Goldback could spike in value, and we've seen that in the past, when there's a dollar scare. It can certainly happen again with, Goldbacks. It could happen with Bitcoin. it just comes down to what type of risks are you comfortable with? We have people buying Goldbacks that think, hey, North Korea could shoot a rocket over North America and wipe out our electric grid for 2 years. Is that the moment that you want to own Bitcoin? I mean, maybe if you can get out of North America, to some other electrical grid. But, you have something like this, what would you rather have, Goldbacks or dollars?
Yeah.
Or Bitcoin? It's just, it depends. All wealth management is risk management.
I like that. All wealth management's risk management. That's good. Yeah, because the utility, I am a huge proponent of Bitcoin. One of the reasons is because the majority of the world, or a good chunk of the world, doesn't have access to either legitimate banking or accessible banking. And
Sure.
that solves that problem, right? Where
Sure.
they don't really have access to the Goldback either. So that would be kind of an issue. So you're absolutely right. It's two different kind of areas. So I can absolutely see that. I'm curious to know, because we are a group of traders and a lot of our listeners are traders.
Mm-hmm.
Is the Goldback traded on the market? Like, can we actually speculatively trade the Goldback, or do you have to physically purchase it and exchange it to get value from it?
Goldbacks can be traded. You could open an account at, alpinegold.com. You could vault Goldbacks for free. You can buy and sell them at a zero spread. It's probably not as exciting as a trade, or high risk, or as speculative as a trade. What people do trade, the speculative thing that they trade, are the collectibles. So like the Silverback that I showed you.
Yeah.
This purple one here, we initially sold them. They went out for about $100 a piece. One of them sold on eBay yesterday for $800 because it's a finite collectible. There's only so many Silverbacks out there. It's like an NFT, but there's only 100,000 Silverbacks.
Mm-hmm.
The first 1,000 of them are purple, and then they're all numbered and serialized.
Yeah.
So people are buying collectibles, they're trading collectibles. It's not probably as instant as just trading everything online. But some people really appreciate the tangible aspect where it's an NFT that you can hold, right? It's old school that way. So, we're seeing that with Silverbacks, with framed Goldbacks. We're seeing that with, graded Goldbacks. We're seeing a collectibles market pop up. Yeah,
Right.
first year of edition Goldbacks, there's a set that sold for $10,000. The initial sales price was under $200.
Wow.
So it's gotten popular.
This is very much like coin collecting.
A little bit,
Yeah.
but with Goldbacks, they're so new that somebody could theoretically collect everything there.
Yeah.
And that, I think that gets people really excited, because as this technology takes off, as you see, foreign central banks adopting this kind of technology with their gold reserves, that only makes the Goldback itself more interesting from a historical standpoint, and collecting those, getting those types of collectibles that much more speculative.
No, that would be very, very cool. We do have a question.
Okay, you got some questions here. Yeah, so that'd be similar to old gold coins, except there's a lot more old gold coins than there are old Goldbacks, right? So if there's only 100,000 Silverbacks, it's like 99,000 of them are red, 1,000 of them are purple. It's similar to buying old stuff.
Yeah, no. Could you hold up the Goldback with the 25 on it again, just to
yeah, sure,
make sure. So the 25, what does that represent exactly?
So that's 25 Goldbacks. So a Goldback is its own unit, just like a Bitcoin. There's not a Bitcoin dollar; it's just a Bitcoin. So a Goldback's a Goldback. The Goldback is 1,000th of an ounce. Okay. So this is 25 thousandths of an ounce. You can turn in one of these guys for 25 of these guys, and vice versa. They all have the same value.
So with the gold that's actually used to print that, is there better times for people to buy Goldbacks? So is it going to relatively just be kind of following the gold market in general? So if gold is down because whatever reason, traders can I get the Goldback cheaper than other certain times?
So it does track the gold market a little bit. Something that's nice about the Goldback is if gold prices go down, it's actually more resistant to going down in price. Also, Goldbacks track separately than the rest of the gold market. We've seen gold prices go down and Goldback prices go up. Just because, you got to figure the gold market is a $7 trillion market. The Goldback market is like a $70 million market.
Gotcha.
So it's teeny tiny compared to the overall gold market. So it has its own market in of itself.
Cool. Now, Jeremy, I have one more question. We are out of time, unfortunately. And so I just want to ask you this one last question. And that is, I do know people that have gold bars in their safe and they've collected them for a while and they've been using it as an alternate source of wealth, storage wealth.
Sure. Okay.
If they wanted to convert them into Goldbacks, is there a service out there where they can actually take their physical gold and say, hey, can you take this, do whatever you do to it and give me back a value in Goldbacks?
We're starting to see people doing that more and more, where they open up their floorboards and they pull out 50 ounces or 100 ounces of gold. Because, the reason they have it, if you really ask them, why do you have 100 ounces of gold in your floor? They say something along the lines of, I have it just in case.
Yep.
Well, just in case of what? Well, in case, the communists, the EMP, the dollar collapse, you name the Yellowstone volcano goes off. I mean, you name it. We live in a stable world, but some people don't really take that for granted. They imagine that things might not always be stable. And if the dollar fails, they want to have something tangible that other people want. If you take it a step further, what the heck are you going to do with your 1 ounce gold bar? That's so valuable. You can't really buy anything with it. That's $2,000. Yeah. Who has something that they'd be willing to trade for $2,000 and they believe that your bar is authentic? And the Goldback solves that problem in a big way because, one, they've never been counterfeited. Yeah. It's easy to use as money. The one denomination, this is your case of bottled water. This is your gallon of milk. This is your, dozen eggs. This is your small transaction, is the Goldback. So they're taking their just in case gold and they're going to any one of 100 different retailers we have, and you can find them on goldback.com. And these retailers will accept your gold and they will give you Goldbacks. And,
awesome.
People nail them into their floors, or oftentimes they give them out as tips or gifts, and they spread the word in terms of what money could be. It could be inflation proof if enough of us wanted it.
I love it. Well, thank you very much, Jeremy, for joining us today. I appreciate it a lot. I'm sure that our audience will as well, and they've learned something new today, which I know I have. So, but we'll have to try and get you on again at some point and maybe continue this discussion. So
yeah, I appreciate being here. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Appreciate you joining us, Jeremy. And Tracy, good to host with you as always. If anybody's interested in any of the links, they will be posted in the description below. For everybody here live, we appreciate you guys joining us, and everybody that has to listen to us when the video comes out. We do appreciate you guys joining us each and every week, and we'll catch you guys on another episode of the Pivot Podcast next week. Take it easy, guys.